The impetus of this conversation, Paul, stems from what we're seeing right now in college football, which is endless realignment. And when you go back to the 2011-2012 football season, Texas A&M entered the SEC. And they did so with Johnny Manziel, and they did so in fantastic fashion, going 11-2 that season. And I believe the next season they were 9-4. But since then, Texas A&M has been 8-4, 8-4, 8-5 with the bowl game. And all of this is to say, if you're Texas, Oklahoma, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, you could have these best laid plans to go to a new league. But to me, Texas A&M is a prime example that even though you might have immediate success that surprised everyone, financially, you can't argue the benefit. But football-wise, Paul, long-term, how good has this move been for Texas A&M over the last decade?
Well, I think it's been good. I agree with you. The record does not support that, but I think in many ways they're a more relevant school. And this is going to sound really backwards, Mac, but the greatest accomplishment that Texas A&M has achieved is that they, in essence, forced Texas to follow them into the SEC. And that's as convoluted as anything you've ever heard, but that's really why Texas decided to make that move, because they saw how much money A&M was making. They saw recruiting-wise, they were doing so much better. Nobody really uses straight logic in college sports anymore. You gamble. It's a little bit like the futures table. And while you can't argue, hey, look at Missouri. They also came in at the same time. They made the championship game 2 years in a row and have not been heard from since. But it's about being relevant, and Texas A&M is a very relevant school. Now, if you looked at I can't even remember all the schools that have moved in the last week or two. But I think, which one of those is best suited for success? Obviously, it's Southern Cal. But you may not see any great success stories there. Oregon may be asking the question, what have we done? Same for Arizona or Arizona State or Colorado or Utah. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go. And I think sometimes you just have to make that move, whether logically 10 years later, you're going to be the subject of a Matt Barrie podcast.
Yeah, look, and that's exactly what everyone thinks when they weigh into those decisions in the Board of Regents rooms. Are like, are we going to end up on the Matt Barrie Show on the YouTube channel? But look, you can't, Paul. It's you cannot dispute financially. Well, one, what Johnny did for Texas A&M, but two, sure, what the move to the SEC did for Texas A&M. But with that comes an inherent amount of expectation and pressure that at the time, I want to go back to those years because at the time, Paul, there wasn't a hotter coach on the college football planet than Kevin Sumlin. He was coming off Johnny Manziel. He gets Kenny Hill, who was a highly rated quarterback coming out of South Lake Carroll. He gets Chad Christensen from Desert Mountain in Arizona, who was the number one ranked quarterback. And not Chad Christensen, guy that's the name escapes me.
Wait, Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen. That's my fault. Chad
Kyler Murray, yeah.
Kyle Allen, number one ranked player in his recruiting class. Kyler Murray, number one ranked player in his recruiting class. Right. So this guy could do no wrong. Yet from that moment forward, from John Football for the next few years, he couldn't match the magic of that 11-win season.
Well, and because what I think Kevin Sumlin did, and we don't need to do an autopsy of that program for too long, but he let players get away with too much. The discipline was gone. He should have been fired 2 years earlier. And they were really kind of caught. Johnny was a curse in many ways. He made them the most relevant program in the country. I'll never forget, Matt, being out there for the 13 game with Game Day. I mean, that was the biggest game of the year. We started talking about that game 6-7 months out. And because of what had happened in Tuscaloosa the previous November. This game was in September, I believe. And once they lost that game, they never quite recovered, and nor did they ever recover. And what's happened since then, it's been very emblematic of Texas A&M history. It seems like there's a curse there somewhere. But I think in spite of all the pain and torment, Aggies still walk with a swagger today, knowing that their cousins in Austin haven't done any better.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.